and so much more. So 2 questions. Did you raise, during your trip with leaders of the Chinese Communist Party, did you raise human rights in general? Did you ask them to stop the genocide against the Uyghurs and the brutal suppression of Hong Kong and other massive acts of cruelty? And if you did, how did they respond? And secondly, given the Chinese Communist Party's massive unwillingness to honor its word, do you believe the CCP will honor its word on climate? Mr. Secretary?
Of course, I have always raised the issue of human rights. In every conversation I ever had as secretary, anywhere I was, we raised that issue. But on
this trip as well, Mr. Secretary?
Yeah, but I'm just about to get to it. And this trip, I raised it with the Chinese officials, not the climate folks, because the climate emissary for China, Xie Zhenhua, has been their special envoy on climate for about 20 years. And, we could casually talk about it, but he doesn't have any input or capacity to do anything on it. But I've raised it at the highest level with officials in China. And they deny certain things that we allege, obviously, and move on. It's a wall of different attitude about what they're willing to acknowledge and not acknowledge. Clearly, we have a very different perception of what's happening, for instance, in Xinjiang than they are willing to acknowledge. So a decision has to be made, whether by Congress or the administration, how we will respond to that. And you have legislation, Ranking Member McCall, and maybe that's the way it's going to be responded to. That's not my lane. My lane is very specifically to try to get the Chinese to move to do what we need to do with respect to climate itself.